Ymedia Group, the fastest growing media group in North America.
Yeah, we're talking about the the leverage part. We've heard over and over again the statement from Israel, and the Prime Minister himself has said he was almost waiting for 4 decades. It was his dream. So if Israel had the leverage, if they thought they could do it by themselves, why didn't they do it earlier? That's question number one. Second, the last time they had this 12-day conflict, if US pulled out, Israel would also pull out. It's not that Israel would carry on. And this time as well, this is exactly what I think. And I'll talk specifically about Lebanon. I've discussed this earlier as well, not here at our discussion, but of course on my radio and TV show. And you're right. I mean, Lebanon, the strategy for a greater Israel, I'm not sure whether the greater Israel, that strategy will come to fruition or not. But one thing is for sure, they are creating buffer zones, Israel, whether it's on the West Bank, it's on the Gaza, or you're talking about Lebanon. So they are creating all these buffer zones. And I think what Israel is sniffing right now, they clearly know that the support for Hezbollah has almost gone now. And Lebanon, we all know, it's a beautiful country. And the Lebanese, they clearly know Hezbollah, is all up for Iran. They're not for the Lebanese people. So I think as much as they do not want Israel as an occupier over there, I'm not trying to say that, but definitely they're not cheering for Hezbollah, that's for sure. So they know if Hezbollah is weakened, maybe they're able to prop up some sort of government or some sort of democratic process. I'm not saying Hezbollah will go for good, but definitely Hezbollah would be weakened a lot. That's what I'm assuming. And you're right. The sad part of the story is closer to the border, the different estimates, but one of the estimates is around 25 to 30 kilometers. They flatten all that area, the exact same thing that they did in Gaza, closer to the border, even Rafah and so many other major areas, major cities of Gaza or in West Bank. They have their own, occupations there. But here also, I mean, whoever has left that area, I doubt Israel will ever allow any of those Lebanese to come back into the area, which is definitely a sad part. But I think this is also going to stop when you see, I think the moment you have a deal there from Iran and US, I think so, Israel will have to comply, and Israel will not only stop any further attacks on Iran, but definitely at least attacks in Lebanon as well. And I would again think, and this is what I would believe, that Israel knows the window, is not infinite. So they have a finite time. They will want to definitely pursue their agenda. That's what I think. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Israel couldn't have started this war without the United States. That's for sure. For Bibi to have this dream for 40 years, yeah, he needed a U.S. president to go along with it, and he didn't get that with previous administrations. He didn't. He didn't get it with Biden. He didn't get it with Obama. He didn't get it with, and the rest of them. He didn't. With this president, through, also his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, he's had clear entrance into this administration to be able to have this sort of influence, because Israel alone couldn't have done it. Otherwise they would have. And I think the term buffer zone is a marketing term, because occupying another sovereign country's land is what it is. It's invasion. And, this whole concept of Hezbollah and Hamas, well, we know reports have come out where Bibi Netanyahu's was funding Hamas prior to October 9th. There's reports there, there's reports of tens of millions of dollars, and him talking, and these things, the transcripts came out to his own cabinet members saying, as long as Hamas is propped up, then we have a reason to continue this. There's been a lot of speculation about what happened with October 9th, but there was a stand down order because Israel wasn't there to respond until afterwards. And then we know that war went on for 2 years of what you see what happened to the Palestinian people. So it had 2 years for what it did in Gaza. I don't know how long they'll have to do the devastation it's doing in Lebanon. And where, what Lebanese army, like what are they going to do right now? No one is defending them. The European Union that's right there is saying nothing, is saying absolutely nothing. So, it's you can't make sense of any of this stuff. Why is it that there was a hard line on Ukraine when it came to Russia and Ukraine, and there's no line when it comes to Israel? So you have to ask the question, what is it that Israel has on these top level politicians? What does he have on Trump? Is it just a friendship and Trump is willing to make his legacy and his destiny go down with his poor performance in his own country for his own people? No America first, but Bibi Netanyahu first. You have to ask these questions. Like, is it just friendship, or is there duress? Is there a reason why President Trump is doing all the stuff he's doing for this for Benjamin Netanyahu? You have to ask these questions because it doesn't make sense, because we don't know. We simply don't know. And so how will this end? Well, even if you look at last year, when President Trump, I heard him drop the F-bomb because when there was going to be a ceasefire, Israel hit Iran again, then Iran hit the different locations in the GCC countries, right? And that was after there was a ceasefire and Israel instigated. So, and Bibi has gone on Israel television, his national television, saying that they're going to have to defend what's in their interest. That is, she's saying, okay, American interests might be they need to have a ceasefire, they need to figure this out and this, but we'll can carry on with what's in our interest. So two different objectives there, and every time it comes down, you have to wonder, like, what, where does this add up? So the leverage is there. What is it that is on Trump or his administration? Not so much his administration; he's a top guy. It all, the buck lands with him. What is it that they have on him? What is it that they promised him? It can't be Trump Towers and in what he called the Middle Eastern Riviera, which is present Gaza. Can't be that. Is it more hotels? Is it more, like, what is it? And this all happened as the world couldn't stop looking at Epstein and how he was so connected to every politician and everyone of importance, right? And the questions and how this much, Pam Bondi just lost her job because, as Attorney General, she was supposed to release the files and she said she wasn't going to, and said there's nothing to look here because her boss said, what Epstein files? Are you still talking about that? That's a Democratic hoax. Right? Remember that? Until Ro Khanna and a few of them came together on both sides of the aisle and passed a law to oblige the Justice Department. And President Trump had to sign it because it looked so bad of why they're protecting Epstein, this massive pedophile. Why? Why are they protecting it? The Justice Department. She just lost her job. Right? So you have to ask these questions. What is it? What is this thing that doesn't allow Trump, that made Trump to go into the war and has made Trump escalate this week by week, even though you're seeing how devastating it is and not know how it's going to end? He cannot articulate to you. He cannot tell you how this war is going to end. How are we going to figure out how this war is going to end when the guy in charge is not able to tell us how it's going to end or what it takes? He doesn't even have here, if these points happen, then we can negotiate and end the war. If these things are crossed, then no Secretary of War is not able to explain it. JD Vance is nowhere, and JD Vance is so articulate. If you recall election time, they had JD Vance out there in media because he's quick. He understands. He's so articulate. JD Vance, where is he? He's nowhere. And Marco Rubio, he's wearing the hat on this thing, and it's going to affect him. So you lost, Kristi Noem, you lost Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth. I think his days are numbered also when this goes horribly bad for the president.
Yeah, thank you. You made some very good points. And, uh, you're right. I mean, there are already discussions that who could be next after Pam Bondi. The Attorney General, she's out. We already uh, seen, a couple of people, taking the brunt of whatever issues that Americans are facing. But then you're right. I mean, there are already discussion like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. I mean, are they in good terms? You mentioned, right, J.D. Vance, he has been talking because I think even Trump acknowledged that yes, after him, who would be the president? He said, he mentioned the name J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance clearly knows he doesn't want to tie himself too much over this thing. And Pam Bondi, yeah, for obvious reasons, And there was a lot of rumors already from last few months, that Pam Bondi could be on her way out. And here we have the same thing happening. So, interestingly, President Trump, a day before, he clearly mentioned that Pam Bondi, she's doing great work as an attorney general, and the very next day, this news comes out. Anyways, we'll talk about her as well. But since you asked this question, what does Israel have something on President Trump? There has been a lot of speculation. I've read a lot of articles on this thing. I've listened to a lot of stuff on television. So there's a lot of discussion on this thing. Maybe, maybe not. But one thing is for sure, nothing sticks with him. Yeah, there have been allegations of sexual misconduct from so many women, including one of his former wives as well. I mean, she's added to all those, if I may not say sexual, at least misconduct allegations. But the support for Trump, I mean, I'm not saying he's a great guy, or I'm not trying to defend him in any way. There could be, certain things in the Epstein files. And I personally think the truth will never come out. There are millions and millions of documents here. I don't think so there is any one single journalist or even for any media outlet to really dissect all that, really study all that, and really come out with a comprehensive report that here it is, what the Epstein files say. So we will, most of the time, we'll see redacted files, and there is more cover up than what we thought. So was there something? I don't know, but I think for Trump, he knows he has a certain base, the mega base, and I don't think so. He's too much worried about that part. I think so. I could be wrong. I don't think so. He's too much worried about that part. That yes, the Israelis or the Mossad could have dirt on him. So he's not worried about that part. I think.
I actually.
Yeah, go ahead. Please.
So sorry to interrupt. That's the part. In the last administration, his term, he did lots of things. He came back, and after the attempt on his life, it changed his fortunes in terms of the support he got. The only time MAGA did not support him was because of Epstein. MAGA does not support sexual predator and pedophiles. And when he had promised, Biden is hiding what's in the files. When I get elected, I'm going to release all the files. And then he gets in, 6 months in, nothing. A year later, almost nothing, until he was pushed. He was pushed because he said, what MAGA? He said, what Epstein files? That was when we saw the crack that MAGA does not belong to Trump. MAGA is a movement of its own for its values of where it believes where the United States should go and what it believes its country should be. But so far, yes, it was, Trump was the person who had the talking points that resonated with MAGA. But as soon as he did the U-turn on we defend sexual predators, and that's what we're doing. And I'm saying, you guys, turning it around on people saying, what are you talking about? This is a hoax. That's when he started losing support. And that's when he goes, remember on a press conference, are we still talking about this? Because it was just full on pressure. He lost a lot of support from his base from that. So when he was obliged to sign the law between both sides, from the Democrats and the Republicans, that the Justice Department has to release it. They don't have a choice but to release it. He had to sign it, and then it was everything, all the news, everything was about all the stuff that Pam Bondi released. Some here, some there, missing some deadlines, but then it came out when Christine Nome was fired from her job. That's when the rest of the files that pertain to Trump came out. And then a few days later, we're in a war. So I don't think he has MAGA the way he used to because of this whole thing. And now MAGA was also America first. What he's doing right now is not America first, not save. These are American tax dollars buying these weaponry. This isn't like the government isn't a business that sells goods and services and has its own revenue and then decides what it wants to do with its revenue like a private business does and then goes and buys warfare to stock up its piles. This is the average person who works at a convenience store, who drives a taxi, who's a nurse, who's a teacher, who's doing whatever it takes to work, pay their taxes. They're expecting that taxes. They pay it because there's an agreement that your country is supposed to take care of you when it comes to roads, bridges, infrastructure, police, healthcare, basic necessities of life. And that money is going elsewhere for a country, for Bibi Netanyahu's 40-year dream. I mean, this is not MAGA. MAGA doesn't want this. MAGA doesn't think this. MAGA wants to keep the money at home, their hard work dollars at home to make America a better country, not depleted, now ask for more money to fund these wars.
Yeah, you made some very good points. We have our few callers waiting. We'll talk to them as well. Sukhminderji is waiting and few other callers as well. But you're right. I mean, Trump, I was not just talking about MAGA, I was also talking about his Republican vote base. As much as I was just looking at CNN the other day and they're telling that yes, his support has dropped down to around 34%, but there's still 34% at this stage of the war, and with all those things with Epstein files, whatever files we could witness, whatever documents we could see, still it's 34%. So I'm not saying it's a huge support, but still there is some sort of support. And all these allegations of his sexual misconduct were definitely part of the first campaign as well. But still he became the candidate for the Republicans. He won the nomination battle as far as Republicans are concerned. And then he went on to become the president as well. So he won despite all the allegations. And I was surprised too, if you would ask me, if these sorts of allegations are in England, maybe in Canada, or any of the leaders who's running for prime minister in India, or for that matter in Pakistan, I don't think so they would survive a day. But then, at least to his credit, that yes, he's still rallying all these people. And if you would ask me, I don't think so I've seen anybody like this. So what I was saying is that yes, even if there are certain tapes, documents, if at all there are certain things with the Israeli intelligence or maybe the government or the administration or anybody else, so Trump, that could be least of his concern. I think so that there was a serious miscalculation here by US. US thought that yes, whatever we did in Venezuela, we pulled it off like this. And here we go in Iran, and they're undermining all those institutions now. Trump from 2016 to 2020, he had serious issues with the institutions anyways. So I think in the second term, they're undermining all those institutions, and most of the people that Trump has brought in, I have not seen a single cabinet minister really differing on any point with Trump. I'm not saying there are other democracies where cabinet minister differ from the leader on regular basis, but yes, there are certain questions being asked even behind the doors. I doubt behind the closed doors anybody can dare to ask any question to Trump. So here we are, okay, this is our Iran plan. It was I think the calculation wasn't right. Oh, last time we got away after this conflict in 12 days. But this time they thought, okay, the supreme leadership will be decimated in the first couple of days. Okay, then maybe we pick a person, well, or maybe the Iranians, they might come onto the streets. They might pick a person. I think the calculations that were done were horribly wrong. That is what happened over here. They never thought that Iran would choke the Strait of Hormuz, even if they thought not at this level. So I think the calculations have gone horribly wrong, and now they're looking for an off-ramp. And what do they do? What do they do? So now they're thinking, okay, fine. If anything we could gain out of it, $39 trillion debt, okay, at least, let's run some war economy here. Yeah, because Russia, their economy started doing really well. Their economy had almost choked, but now Russia is running on a war economy. Whether even if they're selling oil, whatever they're doing, it's still they're on sort of a war economy over there. So this is what I think US also thought, and this is exactly now the reason that I am bringing it up again. I said, because I wanted to, really know why did they go there. One of the prime reasons was they didn't go for oil, control of oil, the hegemony, the influence. My number one thing for US, from the last 5 years I've been questioning, the defense budget, even if you leave this aside, 1.5 trillion for 2027, 800 billion, 900 billion, no country in the world can even afford $500 billion. So number one defense budget, done. They're heading towards, a $30 trillion economy, number one economy, yes. So biggest economy on this planet, biggest military on this planet, leading the tech world. I have my own, everyone has their own definition of superpower or global power. So I have my own definition of a global power. So I think number one is, I would say, the economy, because that dictates everything. They're number one in that. My second criteria is the defense power. They're again the leading power in terms of defense spending that the US does. And the third is technology. Even technology could be second or third, whatever. So there are all three boxes ticked for them. They're the leading powers. Though I have a fourth criteria also as a global power, which I have named as the Citizens Index. Citizens Prosperity Index includes so many things. So that will also make you a global power. I'm not talking about superpower. So let's not discuss the fourth part. We'll discuss some other day. You mentioned quite a few points. Are the citizens really happy? Is the prosperity index really high? The fourth point. But influence for a superpower not to have an influence, with due respect, I've asked this question many times, not how many friends does US have? They could have allies, you're their allies. Now look at the allies, they're refusing to join the war. What sort of allies are they? They're refusing to join the war. So US doesn't have many friends, I think so. US is losing the influence as much as I'm hearing the Gulf states saying, oh, US is our very good ally, but the relationship is all transactional. And especially with Trump at the helm of the affairs, I think it has become even more transactional. So when you're having a transactional relationship, it's not about friendship, it's not about being an ally, it's all about transaction. As long as you're serving my purpose, you're my ally. Today you say, no, you're not serving my purpose, you're not doing this, okay, you're no more my ally. That's what we're witnessing. But the US is losing influence. And one of the ways with $39 trillion debt, let's control the oil. Let's control the oil. We have to keep the dollar strong. We have to control the oil. We have to keep pumping money somewhere in the economy, even if we have to pump the money towards weapon manufacturing industry. Let's do that. Let's do that. And wars, they're always a deflection for everyone. People say, and I think they must have calculated, oh, we go there in a week time, I don't know the exact time, in a week's time, 10 days, 20 days, we change the regime, the leadership decimated, change the regime, we claim victory. Oh, wow, Trump has left another legacy. But the calculations were horribly wrong. I'm not saying this could not happen. Maybe this does happen in a couple of weeks. And that is the reason now, because I even wanted to, ask myself this question, then why are they doing it now if the calculations went horribly wrong? So I think Trump, maybe somebody is still telling him, we got to wait. And actually that's the reason. If when you look at the Israeli media, 80% of the Israelis, now here I'm talking whatever I read in the Israeli media, let me tell you that. I'm not giving you any stats here from any other media. So maybe there's some inherent bias when I'm presenting these stats now. So when I read the Israeli media, they're saying 80% of Israelis, they know that yes, they're happy with the war. They clearly knew that this war, their objectives will not be met in a week or 2 weeks, or even for that matter in a couple of months' time. So the Israeli media, their analysts, their defense analysts, whatever articles I'm reading over there in the Israeli media, they say we have a limited window. Let's do whatever we can to meet our objectives. This is so many other things. That's what they're doing. But then why is US still carrying on this war? So I think maybe the Israelis, they're also saying, and maybe there is someone in US as well saying that the calculations went wrong, and maybe we can turn around the things. And whatever are in. So now they're saying no, we didn't want. That was not the objective. The regime change. So they're assuming the Strait of Hormuz, the 40 countries, they can put some pressure, and they could claim some sort of victory. So right now, it's all wishful thinking. There is no planning. These are all knee-jerk reactions. This is what I think. Yeah. You want to quickly add to this, or you want me to go to the caller? Whatever, yeah.
No, just quickly. So US did have control of oil because it's the petrodollar. Oil is traded in USD. So it did have control and also it had control because it put its US bases in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain. It does have control over the region. And to say that the Strait of Hormuz was operational functional, we go back to even 50 plus years. Even the Shah of Iran always talked about the Strait of Hormuz and how it could be a choking point if Iran is ever put in a dire situation. Every other administration knew about the Strait of Hormuz. This is not a new thing. It didn't just geographically pop up and become a factor. This is something that's why Obama didn't bomb Iran, decided to negotiate with Iran because of these very factors. These calculations were always there. Nothing changed. The same regime for 47 years. Nothing changed. And so for him to miscalculate is just to not know the facts. It's not like these are new things that we're all learning. These are things we knew about. And on top of that, when it comes to the treasuries, U.S. treasuries, you have like Japan, United Kingdom, China, they hold most of that. They fuel money into the U.S. economy and fund some of that. So we can talk about it later. Of course, there's callers waiting, but just on those 2 points, that it already had control of the oil. I mean, it's getting traded in USD, and also like Saudi Arabia, sells the oil, but then also has to, spend in the U.S. economy. And we can go into even the deals that his son-in-law Jared Kushner has done with the Arab nations, with his $2 billion fund to invest and all of that stuff. So we know the money was already flowing in, as well as the oil, as well as it being bought in USD.
Yeah, no. US was having some sort of control, but I think not to the extent which they wanted. Venezuela, yes, of course they've controlled that now, but that's what they thought will take care of. Venezuela will take off Iran, because Venezuela and Iran and Russia, Canada sends most of its oil, I would say 80 to 90% of its oil to US anyways. So now they know they're sending to us. Middle Eastern allies, Israel doesn't have any oil at all, but other than that, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, they're all their allies. So US has pretty much some sort of control there as well. So what are the countries which US wants to control now? China is a net importer of energy. India is a net importer of energy. Japan is a net importer of energy. And out of the top 5 economies, the 3 big economies, China, Japan, and India, they all are net importer of energy, whether it's oil or whether it's natural gas. So Iran was, I think, one of those countries where US wanted to have control, Iran and Venezuela. So Venezuela has been taken care. Okay, fine. There was a control on oil. That's why they initiated the action. What else do you get in Venezuela? There are not much that they want to control anyways. So with Iran as well, whether you want to control the Kharg Island, the oil terminal, or you want to control the whole of Iran, or whatever you want to do. So it was basically about controlling that now. So now that is, the plan has completely failed. Or was there a proper plan or not in first place? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Because Iran at its wish and will would supply oil to China. Of course, they had put sanctions on Iran. India doesn't take much of an oil from Iran, but little bit here and there. But still, India operated Chabahar port. But China was spending very heavily, and Iran would export that. Pakistan also wanted Iran and Pakistan gas pipeline. India at one time said, okay, fine, if we could set up some gas pipeline. So Iran, not only oil, but natural gas as well. And the other part was whether it was the oil trade between, why would US keep telling India, do not take any oil from Russia, do not take any, because it's all about the control. And I think so. It's not only about the oil control, but it's about control of everything. Oh, you should buy weapons from us. F-35. Trump has said this many times in press conference. F-35s are the best fighter jets. F-35, they deliver this. So US would want, they're selling F-35s to Israel. They're sending a different version to Saudi Arabia. They want European countries to buy F-35s. They want India to buy F-35s. India has not committed to a single F-35. India is doing most of the purchase. Sukhoi 30, now it could be 57 from the Sukhois from Russia, and then Rafales from France. India is not buying them. But then US wants everyone to buy their fighter jets as well. So it's about control of selling the weapons. Yes, we are the market. Because imagine what else are you the superpower for? As much as economy is there, but your economy is definitely related to the influence that you have. So whether it's about control of oil, why could Iran just deal with China? No. We cannot allow Iran to deal with China. We cannot allow Venezuela to deal with China for oil. We cannot allow Russia to sell cheaper oil to India, and then there is BRICS as well. India is, by the way, has the presidency for BRICS summit will happen in India. So when this was a big discussion, in the international media when Modi and Putin, they both attended the BRICS summit in China. So all the three leaders together like this, that picture, Modi stands in the center, you have Putin on one side, Xi Jinping on one side. The optics, would matter a lot. So that question was asked across the globe. Here are three powers, here are three leaders standing together. So where is US influence? And Trump was asked in a press conference, were you watching that? He said, yeah, he acknowledged that. Trump didn't mince his words. He acknowledged, yeah, I was watching them at the BRICS summit. And there is a new diplomacy now, the car diplomacy. Modi in China, Modi invites Putin in his car, and then they head towards hotel. The car stays outside the hotel for 45 minutes. God knows what they were talking. And then those pictures, with Putin and Modi, those are released by the Modi administration. So I think US clearly is realizing this thing. And US representative at the Raisina dialogue recently, the deputy foreign minister in India, at the Raisina dialogue in New Delhi has said this, we will not do the mistake that we did with China. So clearly referring to India, we will not allow India to become the part that we allowed India to do that. And then India's external affairs minister S. Jaishankar was asked this thing, that US representative has recently said this statement in the Raisina dialogue. So S. Jaishankar, in just one line, that's his style, he said, India will grow because of its own strength, not because of anybody else's mistake. So he didn't mention China, he didn't mention US, he simply mentioned India will grow on its own strength. So US clearly, as much as they're saying North America and South America, we would focus more on this one. There are articles, oh, China would do, no. They're saying we want to get away from the wars, but here we are. They've entered into another war. Yeah. You want to say something, or can I go to the
No,
call?
let's take on a caller. Yeah, they've been waiting long enough.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, Sukhwinder ji, you're on there. Sukhwinder ji, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Yes. Please, you're on there.
Yes. I was listening to your conversation. So I have my own things to say regarding this. What you are talking about, that the plan goes wrong. No. Everybody knows everywhere in the world that nobody, at least in the Middle East or at least in Iran, believes in Netanyahu or any American president. So forget about that, this plan that the folks will, once we eliminated the regime, the people will support us, and we will have our own style of government. This is a plan that was sold to US president to convince him. Otherwise, everybody knows this is a fake plan. This is not a realistic. This cannot be possible. And now they are saying, oh, plan goes wrong. No. It was made like this because, as BP says, that it was his dream for 40 years, and he was, convincing American presidents in the past also for the same thing, and now he was able to convince that this plan. He was able to convince President Trump that we can do in this way, and the plan goes wrong, and obviously this is what supposed to be happen. It will never succeed because it was designed like this. So I mean to say that on this issue that Netanyahu Sahab having a dream of regime change in Iran for the last 40 years. So I want to say that he is, not a very. I cannot say that he is having a great foresight for the Israeli people, because I think he missed a great opportunity, great window. He was, he was no Ben Gurion, and every country you don't need millions of people to transform the fortunes of a country. You need only few guys, 1, 2, or 3 guys, always good guys. They can turn around the fortunes of a country, and at the same point, 1 or 2 guys, bad guys, can ruin the fortunes of a nation. And same thing I think is happening with Israel. Netanyahu was not foresighted enough. He should have availed the opportunity, and Israel was able to. First, it was JCPO, and Netanyahu was able to overturn through U.S. President Trump that accord that was agreed by everybody, big powers included, and I think that was enough. And Barack Obama was betting for that, and a lot of hard work goes wrong, and again we are back to square one, and again they have talks, and they agreed more than that. This time, the Iran was more than the previous accord. They are agreed to give some more concessions, but they missed the opportunity. And I think, as you say, as everybody knows, the window is not only short, and as everybody knows, the sun is setting on US. You never know. You can change the RAM, you can change the regime anywhere, you can destroy Iran, you are able to destroy Iraq, you are able to destroy Syria, you are able to destroy Libya, but for how long? They will join together after 10 years, 20 years. There cannot be peace unless you have you should have availed this opportunity with the help of America. As long as America is superpower, they could have done this peace accord with Palestine or surrounding countries, Middle East, Islamic countries. They should have benefited the American power. Otherwise, you never know what will happen. It's a matter of time. Ymedia, I know this is a matter of time. The Syrians, the Iraqis, the Libyans, the Iranians, the other guys, they will wake up and they will join together. Anything can happen. And as long as there is no sustainable agreement for peace, living peacefully with the neighbors, Israel must wait for that they should have done this. Otherwise, this is a matter of time. I think this is a matter of few years, 10 years, 15 years. You have to set this issue. You have to settle this issue for a permanent peace. Otherwise, nobody can live peacefully in this neighborhood. Forget about changing regimes. Whatever you do, you cannot wipe out the millions of people around the Middle East, and they are heavily Muslim countries, and they have their opinions with the support to Palestinians. They should have availed this opportunity. I think in near future, if China or Russia or anybody, a parallel superpower comes into play, I think the games will change and the things will change altogether. And I think this is not sustainable for the future of. This is not good for the future of Israel. I think so. Now they have America in their side. You may not know what happens in the future. So they should have seen this opportunity, but they fail to do this. I think they are in the mood of hatred for hatred, and hatred breeds hatred, and I cannot imagine any peace in the long run in this region. So this is my take on this. What do you say?
I think when you're saying, are you actually? I didn't get your point. Are you saying that U.S. had a plan, or U.S. Did not have a plan at all? So what do you? U.S. had a plan, or U.S. did not have a plan at all, or you just mentioned that this was U.S. plan. I doubt this was U.S. plan. Sorry, because they're in complete mess right now. Sorry, so sorry. Go ahead.
This is not a U.S. plan. U.S. Foreign policy in the Middle East is totally hijacked by Israel, and this is Israel's plan.
Oh, this is okay. Okay, now I got it. So you're saying this was not the U.S. plan. This was the plan of Israel, and U.S. was just pressured to do this. Are you saying this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? That is okay. Now I got it. That is one narrative, and I've read many articles on this one. For me to buy that narrative that Israel pressured and Israel has so much leverage that it can, suck US into this sort of war without any plan. I doubt Israel has that much of a leverage. Yes, of course, this is one narrative that you just mentioned. But as I just mentioned, for me to buy that narrative, as a journalist, when I read so many different articles, when I see that, I could be wrong. Maybe I do not know, and maybe you could be right. But if you ask my opinion, I'm not convinced right now that that is the actual case. What I think, US had no plan. US had no plan. Yes, Israel has their own plan, and they didn't really pressurize. And US said, okay, fine, we're going because of you. No, as much as Ramona ji mentioned, yes, we heard Secretary of State Marco Rubio say this thing that yes, Israel was about to attack. We also did that, which I don't think so it makes any sense. Then if you ask JD Vance said, the nuclear weapons were there, so we had to strike. Oh, JD Vance is saying a different thing. He's saying a different thing. Then you're talking about the regime change. Let the Iranians, we are going to help you change the regime. But now you're saying, Trump just mentioned the other day at 9 p.m., the regime change was never the objective. So, when you read the US media on the condition of anonymity, when some of the people in the US administration, they are hearing all sorts of different stories. There is no I don't think so there was any plan at all. If there was a plan, yes, Israel had a plan. Israel definitely had a plan. They wanted to, for right or wrong, I'm not saying this. Was it for the right reason or wrong reason? But Israel definitely had a plan. They wanted to target Israel. They have their plans running. This is what we will do, whether in Lebanon, whether in Gaza, whether in West Bank, and now finally in Iran. This is our plan. This is what we want to do. So they have a clear objective. But right from the day one, I'm asking this because I've covered many wars and many things like this. Number one thing, even during the Iraq war, Afghan war, one of the major questions, and at that time when we joined the Afghan war, I clearly remember when we joined the Afghan war, Canada, I was asking one question most of the time: what is our exit strategy? Number one. And when I'm talking about our exit strategy for Canada, I always wanted to know what is our objective? What are we going to achieve? Today, Taliban are, and you see that, Taliban are ruling that country again. Our soldiers laid down their lives. We lost our soldiers here in Canada as well. So, right at the start of the war, I wanted to know what is the exit strategy, what is the objective, and when I'm talking about the exit strategy, before the exit strategy comes, what is the plan, what is our key objective, what are the KPIs, and then what is the exit strategy? Nothing. I don't think so anybody can answer that question. Yeah, you can, if you want to add anything, fine, or I have to go to Ramona ji, and now they're telling me we're running short of time as well.
Yudhvij, I want
Please.
to add here.
Please.
So I'm not saying that USA are having any plan. I am saying this is all Israel plan, and they made this unrealistic plan. They sold this unrealistic plan to US president, and this is all what the Netanyahu wanted. He doesn't want anything. He just want regime change, and that's it. Whatever may be the consequences, he just wants US to get along with them and just get the regime change, and they got this. And also there is another thing in the wars. You can always calculate this is a visit opportunity. Wars are always automatic. Whenever it's not they are on autopilot. You cannot stop a war on your own terms. Once it started, there is always, you can say, we have a exit strategy, but most of the time this doesn't work. It depends on the other side. So once you are in, you are not able to stop it most of the times. So I think, but you missed my other point. What they got in the long term? I want to say that they should have seen this opportunity with America sitting as a big brother over there. They should have, able to seize this opportunity and sign a peace agreement and solve these issues forever. Or otherwise, you may not know in the future, may not be America, may not be there, may not be other American adversaries will be over there and come on into power, and they may not, Israel may not have the same, relations with them, so they may be a receiving end in the future, and they have to pay back all their atrocities, and that will be big harm to Israeli community. But this is, I want to get an answer for this.
Yeah. Now, good points that you've made. My only 2 cents, and before I go to Ramona ji, and we have to wrap it up over here. I think good points that you made, but certain times war does escalate to a situation that yes, it does go out of control, and this war could end up in the similar situation, that it could go really horribly wrong, and then this war can also escalate to that situation. But as you are also mentioning, many times there is a strategic goal. There is always an exit strategy. In the interest of time, I can quote many. When Russia annexed Crimea, things could have gone wrong for them, but Russia had a clear plan. I have to go there. Whether it was the attack on Georgia, same thing. But we'll talk about Crimea, and they had a clear plan. This is what we need to do. Done. Out. Next time they go, and again another war in 2022, February, against Ukraine. Now there is a deadlock. Now they have serious consequences. They must have had an exit strategy which didn't work out. For India, whether it was the 1971 war, the strategy was very clear. East Pakistan and West Pakistan take full control. of the East Pakistan and create a separate country, Bangladesh. India did that. India did that. I mean, Pakistan had military and they had huge support from so many countries. 99 Kargil War. 99 Kargil War, India had a clear strategy. This is what we need to do. Did, finish. The recent conflict between India and Pakistan, same strategy. This is what we need to do. India did, attack Pakistan. Okay, these are their Pakistan's air bases. We have to take care of the air bases. Pakistan also had their clear strategy, whatever they wanted to do. So, and then both the countries exit. Both of them are nuclear powers. Even after going nuclear in 98, they've still fought 2 wars. 98, India and Pakistan both went nuclear. And 99, the Kargil War, and now another conflict, 2 conflicts. But both those countries knew this is what the objective. I'm not saying India won. Kargil, everyone knows India clearly won that war. 71, India clearly won that war. This one, India claims victory, Pakistan claims victory, But anyways, but there are times when you have a clear strategy. We don't have time, but I could have easily discussed World War I and World War II situation. If Germany had, the Nazi Germany had a plan, this is what they're doing. They went on till a certain extent, but then there were issues. They never thought Winston Churchill or England, could do what they actually did. But in the interest of time, Ramona ji, your final thoughts, where are we heading, and anything else you want to add, any points, and then we'll wrap it up. Please.
Yes, I think one aspect to look at this is, Israel may want this war to continue going longer. It depends on how long they need for their occupation and what their clear goal is to take southern Lebanon to the Litani River. That is about 30 kilometers. It's 10% of Lebanon's land that they want to occupy, and not let any of the citizens who live there to come back. And so how long that's going to take, because as long as this war goes on, they're doing what they're doing and the world is not paying attention. The world leaders should be doing something, but if you switch into any news channel, no one's really talking about or giving that much time to what's happening in Lebanon. So clearly Israel had its objectives of why to go into this war, and having that region was part of their plan. And so however long it's going to take Israel to do this, I think they would want the war to continue. And that's why, their big superpower that they seem to be, the United States doesn't really have a clear strategy, doesn't have a real clear end date, doesn't have any clear objectives. Objectives keep changing why they're doing this. And it's all benefiting Israel because it's buying their time to do the invasion of southern Lebanon.
Right. So that's all the time that we have today. We will carry on this discussion and keep you posted with all the latest developments. Ramaji, thank you so much for your time. You have a wonderful time ahead, but we'll carry on this discussion. And once again, as always, our prayers are for all those who are losing their near and dear ones over there. And we wish and we pray as well that peace prevails, this war ends as soon as possible. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ymedia Group, the fastest growing media group in North America.